A few moments later, they were shocked by Red's statement. Unexpectedly, Red declared that he himself would become their sparring opponent. Red emphasized that simply learning chroma was not enough. Despite their talent, their field experience was still extremely limited. This training was meant to close that gap to slightly increase their chances of survival. With an excited tone, Red stated he would show no mercy and would force them to fight at full capacity. Kai, Gale, and Ellie broke into a cold sweat as they raised their weapons, while Red ordered them to get ready immediately. Red stepped forward, telling them to imagine the worst situation when facing enemies in the Black Land. There would be no mercy in a place like that. Because of that, Red ordered them to fight without holding back and attack him with all their strength. In the next moment, Red instantly shot forward with extraordinary speed. In the middle of his movement, Red challenged them to at least land one effective hit on him. In the blink of an eye, Red's figure appeared behind Ellie as he swung his sword without hesitation. Ellie was shocked, unable to track his movement with her eyes. However, her body's reflexes moved first. Color ice erupted from her hands, forming a dense defensive layer just before Red's slash landed. A heavy impact echoed through the training area. Seeing this, Red gave a faint smile as if everything was as expected. Ellie's reflexes were clearly much faster than the others. Not only that, in a split second, she was even able to create such dense ice instantly. Ellie's ability to utilize color felt extraordinary. Without giving any pause, Ellie immediately launched a follow-up attack. Several spiked ice chunks shot from multiple directions, ready to strike Red at any moment. Red looked impressed by Ellie's ability to attack and defend simultaneously. In his view, such a fighting style was already very good for a beginner. Even so, while dodging the ice projectiles with light movements, Red reminded them that every ability always has a weakness. A faint light gradually began to envelop his sword, emitting a denser color than before. Red then explained that when two color elements clash, the weaker side would eventually be destroyed. In the next second, Red swung his sword. A single clean slash split all of Ellie's ice instantly. The frozen mass broke into two right in front of her eyes, causing Ellie to flinch in shock at how easily Red destroyed her defense. Red advised Ellie not to become too satisfied just because her ice had become dense. According to him, such a defense could still be broken at any time. Because of that, Ellie needed to prepare backup plans or train her chroma further until her ice became much harder to destroy. Red reminded them again that the Black Land was filled with monsters beyond human imagination. That place would not grant a second chance to anyone who hesitated. That was why they had to always be ready for the worst possibility. On the other side, Gale began moving. His sword swung with smooth and precise motion, leaving faint traces in the air with each slash. In an instant, Gale lunged from the left side while launching a sharp attack toward Red. Kai also did not stay idle. Almost at the same time, he shot in from the opposite side to surround Red. His dark attack swept in from the right with equally dangerous pressure. Both of them continuously unleashed a barrage of slashes without giving any breathing room. Attacks poured in from two different directions, filling the area around Red with sword flashes and color collisions. Yet in the middle of that pressure, Red remained calm. With simple and efficient movements, he deflected all their attacks one by one without appearing to use much energy. Every swing of his sword landed in the perfect position, as if Red had already read all of Kai and Gale's attack patterns from the very beginning. Kai and Gale were shocked to see all their attacks easily broken. Even more surprising, Red did it without using any color at all. In the next moment, Kai, Ellie, and Gale moved together. They dashed forward and attacked Red from three different directions almost simultaneously. However, once again, Red managed to block everything effortlessly. Sword clashes repeated at high speed, producing bursts of color every time their weapons collided. The continuous barrage of attacks kept coming, but none of them managed to break through Red's defense. Cold sweat ran down Gale's face. He could not believe that even with all three of them at full strength, they still could not touch Red at all. Gale began to feel that all their efforts were still not enough. Fragments of the past slowly surfaced in his mind. Memories of when he was still weak and the figure who once sacrificed themselves to protect him kept flashing endlessly. Because of that, Gale was determined to never let that tragedy happen again. A surge of green sword-shaped color began to appear around his body. With high speed, Gale shot into the air, preparing to unleash a full power strike toward Red. His only determination was to become stronger as fast as possible. From above, Gale rained down sharp, spear-like sword projections that rushed violently downward. For the first time, Red began channeling ink drain into his sword. A faint light wrapped around the blade as he prepared to face Gale's attack. In the next moment, Red swung his sword calmly. Gale's attack was deflected to the side with ease, while all the sharp blades heading toward him were instantly shattered by the impact. Without giving even a single opening, Red suddenly vanished from where he stood. In an instant, he reappeared in front of Ellie and delivered a light slash that instantly shattered her ice wall. Before Ellie could even react, Red spun and struck Gale in the stomach with the hilt of his sword. The heavy impact made Gale cough violently as he was blown backward. At the same time, Red swung his blade toward Kai. The brief slash instantly destroyed Kai's weapon, reducing it to fragments. The sudden assault left Kai, Ellie, and Gale frozen in silence in front of Red. Their breathing grew heavy, their bodies still aching from the overwhelming gap in strength. Seeing their condition, Red felt the sparring session had already reached its limit. His gaze shifted to Gale. He criticized him for rushing his attacks, making all his movements too easy to read. Using all his color and forcing himself into a colorless state was, in Red's view, a very poor decision. He did not know what was making Gale so unstable, but emotions like that should never cloud combat judgment. Red gave little comment to Kai. At this point, Kai had already begun using color without the aid of a dropper, meaning he should now be able to feel the difference himself. Red then brought up the incident in Undercity. It had ended well, but only because Kai had gone berserk without control. Without Mary's dropper, Kai's condition would have been far worse. Red warned him to be more mindful of his energy usage. Compared to Ellie and Gale, Kai's weakness was far more dangerous. Kai stayed silent. As expected, Red was on an entirely different level. A colorist like him stood far beyond anything they could reach. For a moment, Kai wondered if he would ever reach that level of power. Even with his body still heavy, Kai slowly stood back up. He refused to let everything end here. A strong desire emerged within him to be acknowledged by the colorist standing at the peak. Kai questioned Red's earlier words about allowing them to attack with full strength. Recently, Kai had acquired a new ability, but he had hesitated to use it, not fully understanding it himself. Kai gave a faint smile. It felt like a waste to end things here. Dark black color surged into his hand, accompanied by wild yellow lightning that spread in all directions as he activated the power. The energy around Kai immediately became unstable. A massive pressure filled the training area. Kai admitted he still could not control the ability properly. Ellie and Gale stared in disbelief. The aura coming from Kai felt far more terrifying than before. Even Red's expression changed for the first time. His gaze showed clear surprise as he sensed the power standing in front of him. Kai's fist shot forward with overwhelming force. The impact triggered a massive explosion that instantly shattered the arena ceiling. Shockwaves swept across the room as dust scattered everywhere. When the dust slowly settled, Kai stood unsteady, breathing heavily. His color had completely faded into a colorless state. He did not expect his color to be drained entirely from just one use of his new power. In front of him, Red still stood firm, but for the first time, cold sweat ran down his face. His gaze dropped to his sword, now broken from the previous clash. His expression carried a hint of shock. Beneath them, a massive crater stretched across the ground, marking the force of Kai's strike. Even Red found it difficult to imagine how far Kai would grow in the future. Gale and Ellie remained silent, completely stunned by Kai's overwhelming new power. Red himself did not expect Kai to be capable of using black color alongside other colors. From what he had just witnessed, Red began to think that one day Kai might even wield multiple colors like Luminous. Realizing that potential, Red gave a faint smile and said he might have to start taking things seriously if he did not want to lose face as a teacher. Soon after, Red decided to end the training session for the day. Supporting the exhausted Kai, he told Gale and Ellie to regroup later. Red carried Kai out of the arena. He glanced sideways and told Ellie and Gale not to dwell too much on what had happened. He understood they might feel discouraged after seeing Kai's ability, but in truth, their strength was already far above most rookie pioneers. They only needed to train harder from now on. Meanwhile, the training arena was in ruins. Cracks covered the floor and debris was scattered everywhere from the earlier clash. Seeing the damage, Red let out a long sigh. He could already imagine how furious Camellia would be when she saw the state of the arena. The scene then shifted to the Dawn Pioneer Corps headquarters. Inside the room, Camellia suddenly felt a powerful tremor coming from outside. However, she did not pay much attention and continued her activity as usual. Mary, noticing Camellia suddenly going silent, called out to her. Snapping back to reality, Camellia immediately apologized before asking for Mary's opinion on the cake placed on the table. Mary nodded slightly, admitting that everything looked delicious. But something else was troubling her mind. Mary asked whether she truly deserved to receive such expensive equipment. At that moment, she was already wearing a new brown-toned outfit, far more refined and elegant than before. Camellia only smiled calmly and said it was not a problem at all. She explained that the equipment Mary was wearing was made from high-quality, durable materials and would greatly assist her in future battles. Mary had now officially become part of the Dawn Pioneer Corps. Because of that, Camellia asked her to treat the equipment as a welcome gift. Mary finally smiled in relief and accepted the explanation. She also said she was looking forward to working together in the future. But suddenly the door burst open. A subordinate rushed in with a panicked expression, reporting an emergency. Camellia immediately ordered him to explain the situation. However, the subordinate instead insisted they see it outside for themselves. Mary and Camellia quickly rushed outside. The moment they stepped out, both of them froze. Thick black smoke was rising from the direction of the black land, slowly swallowing the sky above Shining City. Camellia raised her hand as black ash began drifting through the air. Her expression immediately turned serious the moment she recognized the sign. It was a black wave. Meanwhile, in the black land, massive creatures began emerging to the surface. Standing atop one of them were the Sword Demon and the Twin Viper, preparing to launch an assault meant to destroy Shining City.